Hey everybody, welcome to the Texas Three-Step Podcast, the podcast driven by you, the die-hard sports fan. Here's how this works. You engage with us on social media through polls, debates, contests, etc. You tell us what you want to hear each week, then we give you the best weekly sports show on the planet. Now, let's let the sports talk begin.
We're going to start off with some baseball. Q, you want to tell us what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, for sure. Today we're going to go over MLB COVID updates with the Marlins and the rest of the MLB. We're going to go over the 7-inning doubleheader rule that just got announced. We're going to go over some Rangers news and updates along with the Astros struggles against the Dodgers. We're going to go over some Joe Kelly stuff and the suspension. Going to discuss some big injuries among baseball and a few other things.
Yeah, we got a lot of good topics today. Cody, why don't you start us off with the coronavirus update?
So the Marlins have reported 18 cases, I believe, after their virus or their little fun trip in Atlanta.
Strip clubs.
That
to probably
wasn't MLB approved. I did hear that the buffet was very good, though, that they visited.
I'm sure those wings were on point, as you know.
They had to be.
They had to be.
Was it worth the virus for them? I don't know.
Well,
did they played the Phillies, right?
Yeah. So the Phillies just announced today that they have a positive case from a coach and a staff member, and but no players yet. So right now the Marlins are beating the rest of the MLB 18-0 because especially since Soto came back negative 10 times in a row.
So we really had kind of a scare at the beginning. Like the Marlins had a huge spike in cases, but it seems like we've kind of calmed down a little bit, haven't we? There's no one else that really has it.
As far as it's showing right now, that's what it's looking like. We'll see if anything pops up in the next few days or something like that, though. But this whole next week right here is really, really tedious when it comes to the rest of the season, pretty much. Because I mean, games are getting canceled and postponed left and right, and that's why they had to go in and make this rule where doubleheaders that are going to be played here in the future are going to be starting August 1st. They're going to be 7-inning games each one, so it's going to be 7 inning. So
let's take a step back real quick. I have a question for y'all, and we asked this on Twitter and Instagram. Do you guys think the season is going to be completed to get to the playoffs and fully be completed?
I think they may have to, if the virus cases keep spiking, they may have to stop it at some point and reevaluate. I know the Players Association voted down the idea of a bubble, but that could potentially come up in the future. I would think it'd be too hard to have 30 teams in one bubble in one area, so they may have to look into the idea of two bubbles. My idea for two bubbles has been having one in Arlington and one in Houston, put 16 teams in Houston and make the Astros a National League team, and 14 teams in Arlington, and have all the American League teams there minus Houston.
Yeah, but like you said, though, man, that's hard. That's hard. That's a lot of teams and a lot of players to keep tabs on like that and make sure everybody's following guidelines and rules. And I mean, it already looks like the Marlins already broke it. And so, I mean, I heard an interview today with Chris Woodward, the manager of the Rangers, and he was saying that they're focusing on primarily trying to make sure all the players are following all the guidelines, and they're pushing it strictly now. I'm sure a lot of teams after that scare are trying to do that and make sure their players aren't acting foolish and breaking these rules and stuff, you know?
Yeah. The bubbles worked pretty well for the NBA, though.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, but it's a lot smaller of amount of teams. I mean, it's not 30 teams going in there with massive rosters like the MLB has.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Go ahead, Tyler.
It's not the same setup either. Like, they're basically in Disney World, and they got these like wristbands. They're basically tracking them. They got this hotline to like snitch on players. Like, they got that locked down over there in Orlando. It's really not the same thing.
I think Manfred and the Players Association honestly have to share the blame on this. I mean, you can't go into this situation and with every single case going to be politicized and publicized as much as it is. You can't go into the situation without having some type of backup plan or reserve or anything like this. I mean, it just kind of seems like the MLB wasn't prepared for this type of thing to happen, and now they're just kind of in panic mode.
Yeah, that's the thing that stood out to me. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but like I definitely could recognize like it seemed like they didn't have a huge plan in place from the beginning. And then now with the news today about their double headers, like that just seems like out of the blue. Like why didn't we know about this like weeks ago?
I mean, they pushed forward the 16 team playoff the day before the season started. And,
Yeah.
I mean, that they don't seem like they've had everything together or a solid foolproof plan from the beginning at all, and it's just ridiculous. And honestly, like I would be surprised if Rod Manfred is the commissioner after this year. There's been so much backlash from the way he's handled COVID and the way he handled the suspensions with the Astros players and all of those types of things.
Joe Kelly.
And now Joe Kelly getting suspended 8 games for not even hitting a guy and making the boo-boo face.
Yeah, so let's talk more about the Joe Kelly. We'll get back to this doubleheader in a second, but talk to me about this Joe Kelly. What do you guys think of this suspension that went down? Do you think they're too harsh? Like, talk to me about this.
Way too harsh.
Yeah.
I think a suspension is okay. Just suspend him like 2 or 3 games. He's a reliever. He usually doesn't pitch every day. 2 to 3 games would cost him probably 1, maybe 2 appearances.
See, an 8-games, it was 8 games, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, 8-game suspension during a 60-game season is like the equivalent of 22 games in a regular season. That is insane. There's been players that have gotten in fistfights. Rougned Odor punched Jose Bautista and clear across the face and basically knocked him out on the field, and he only got 5 games. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I imagine the league is trying to clamp down on Joe Kelly very quickly to try to stop. I'm sure everyone wants to kind of get a shot at the Astros, and the MLB is like, no, we're not letting this happen. This is what we're going to do to Joe Kelly. We're going to snap down on him hard, and like we don't want this happening.
The league said it from the beginning when they first handed out, or when the Astros ruling came out and they were getting all that backlash. They were saying that they were going to come out harshly against people that threw the Astros batters and stuff. So I think they were using Kelly as an example.
Even after Bregman said he likes how the game polices itself.
Yeah.
Not when the balls come at his head. I guess not.
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't think he knew that pitch was coming.
No, honestly though, there could be a case that Joe Kelly was just really wild. Because
I saw a YouTube video about that. They said he was having a lot of trouble locating his fastball.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know I don't know. It's a lot, but that's just seems like a ridiculous amount of games for not even actually making contact with anybody. So
yeah, it's definitely insane, and it kind of just shows, and it's kind of a frustration of fans. Like they're cracking down on Joe Kelly, and then at the same time, I think fans feel like the Astros were not cracked down on, and like it feels so unjust at this point. And while this is all going on, it's magnified because everyone's watching baseball right now. And
right.
Like every bad thing that happens, it keeps making MLB look worse.
And MLB had such the advantage on every other sport too. They're naturally socially distanced sport. They had the upper hand to where they could have started games way earlier. They lost out on so much publicity over this whole thing, and it's insane. It's mind-boggling how bad they've been.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I remember like the MLB, they were the first to come out to say like they're going to have these bubble areas, and now it's just like it seems like they've fallen so far away from that.
Well, the Players Association is at fault about that because they were going to do bubble, I believe, in the spring training locations, right, Cody? Where they were going to do Arizona and Florida.
Uh-huh.
And I remember Bryce Harper even suggesting that they do a bubble in the new Ranger Stadium.
Yeah, I think he was talking about the new Ranger Stadium as like the playoff bubble.
Yeah. It's just I feel like they missed on a lot of things here, and now they're just trying to scramble and trying to make sure that they can complete a season. Now, I mean, on the other hand, I think that as long as you don't see anything happen with the Phillies here, if you go over the next like 4 to 5 days and you don't see any Phillies players come positive, then I think we're probably good. I don't know if that's good for the whole season, but it's good to resume baseball activities for the most part for pretty much everybody besides the Marlins. But it seems to be that they brought this upon themselves and they need to face the punishment. Honestly, I think that they should have to forfeit these games because, I mean, if your players are going out and partying and going out to clubs or whatever during a pandemic, then you deserve to be punished for that.
The question I have is just like, what do you do to stop that, though? Obviously, you're going to have like your leadership telling these guys to not do it, but what can you do from like an MLB leadership standpoint? Are you just going to start suspending guys?
You're going to have to eventually.
Yeah, suspending, fines. I mean, they're all making less money this year anyway, so a fine's going to hurt a lot worse.
Are you going to set up like the NBA, like have a snitch hotline, or are they going to put in things like that?
Each team may have to do that.
2020 might be the only year where snitches don't get stitches.
Yeah, 2020 is just a crazy year, man. Like the fact that we're just like we're putting players in bubbles and kind of forcing them. Well, not really forcing them to play. Obviously, they're getting paid, but like we're really making these players do a lot of crazy things just to play the sport. And just
well, they're getting paid millions. So.
Yeah, that's why they make the big bucks. But I mean,
circling back to the Marlins real quick, I had a question. Do y'all think the Marlins will have more wins or players come down with COVID this season?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, because you got the taxi squad and everything too. Oh man, that would be a good bet. I wonder if anybody's ever made any odds on that yet. That'd be pretty awesome.
We might as well put that up.
Yeah, I'll vote for the players.
More players.
I think it makes sense to think that there's probably going to be a couple more players who get it, but are they going to have more wins than, like, let's say 25 plus wins? Is that likely with the Marlins?
Last year, the Marlins went 57 and 105.
Hey, they started this year 2-1.
Oh, who'd they
Off
play?
To a hot start, and they messed up.
Did they play the Orioles or the Tigers to start?
No, they didn't play the Orioles or the Tigers. They played. Let me check real fast. I forget who they played to open up the season. Let me see. I got it right here.
They played the Phillies.
Wow. Yeah, they played the Phillies to open up, right?
Well, duh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot that part. But anyways, no, yeah, it's ridiculous, man. I don't know what we're gonna do about that part in MLB, and it's just something they're gonna have to fight through. I mean, it seems like everybody else around the league is following the rules and procedures, and so I don't think that they should be punished because it seems like everybody who's playing right now wants to play. You know, I mean, if you had the option to opt out, I mean, kinda. I mean, you could only really get paid if you had a health risk of any sort or anything like that. But there were several players opt out, like Ian Desmond, and
Desmond's losing a lot of money this season from opting out.
Yeah, he lost a lot of money by voluntarily opting out.
That horrible contract. David Price is losing out.
David Price is losing a lot of money. Yeah.
Buster Posey, one of the best catchers in baseball, even though he's up there in years.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk about the new Ranger Stadium and how it's been playing, Quentin. It's kind of looking like it's playing pretty big, wouldn't you say?
Oh, it is for sure. It looks like all these balls that were hit in 2019 and prior that would just fly out of the stadium if they were hit high enough. Through jet stream or whatever it should be, or wherever it was. You know, none of these balls are going out. I mean, Gallo has hit a few where Gallo and Frazier both have hit a few up in the air. So, like, looks like they're going to be bombs and they die out at the warning track. It's looking like they're finally figuring it out a little bit over this last game where they had that huge 5-run eighth inning.
Yeah.
And, which hell of a bat by Gallo, by the way. But, it's looking like they're figuring it out. Yeah, he destroyed it, but still didn't look like it went very far, which is crazy in this ballpark. I mean,
it probably would have been out of Yankee Stadium.
Probably, man. It was, they're getting a hold of some, and they're not flying out very far. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're just not getting the right angle down in this ballpark or what. But it's playing big. And honestly, I would put money on them bringing the fences in if they can't figure it out.
Oh yeah, I'd say it's above a 95% chance that happens after this season.
Oh, for sure. The only thing is they're gonna ruin that thing they did where they made all the distances after former players and big seasons and stuff like that.
Well, I think they can readjust it. Just play with the numbers some.
Yeah, they'll have to get creative.
Yeah. I mean, they were already creative once, and they have like 8 months to do it again.
Got a couple of interesting numbers there, like 29. You can't really change that one much up unless you're going to go like 429 or 229, but that'd be a pretty funny stadium.
Let's go Polo Grounds, 229.
Yeah, I'm for the Polo Grounds. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. But 500 feet to center, 200 to left field.
Gallo would hit like 85 bombs.
Oh, my gosh.
60-game season.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Lance Lynn he's been fantastic.
Oh, my goodness, dude. Lance Lynn's looking like Cy Young candidate.
Yeah. He's
2 games, 0 ERA. Like, the dude is on fire.
I know. It drove me crazy in his second start when he allowed 1 hit in the entire game, and then I think it was Jesse Chavez came in the next inning and allowed 2 hits to back-to-back batters and eventually gave up the lead. But luckily, the offense finally found life and won it for him.
The Rangers have under a 0.6 ERA to start the season out throughout their starters, and they should not be 2-3 with this with that rotation how it's been pitching. Even with Kluber only pitching 1 inning, I mean it's just sucks. That's going to be rough to try to combat. But Allard is coming up for him, so I mean it's not as worse as it could be because I mean I'm excited for Allard, but
yeah, he looked pretty good and
still looks good. Year. Yeah, he looked really good in his starts last year, so I'm excited for that. I just hope that we can get at least reliever Kluber or something like that if we sniff into the playoffs or something, you know.
He won't be a reliever. He'd come back and be a starter because
I don't know. I saw a lot of reports saying that if we see him back, it's likely in a reliever role.
Really?
Maybe as like an opener or something like that. I don't think they're going to try to tax his arm if they get him back. I mean, especially now that I don't know, the bullpen's looking shaky.
Yeah,
especially with Lawson Leclerc.
Yeah,
with the same exact injury as Kluber.
That's
both
so weird.
Shoulder injuries. Yeah, they're both shut down for
4 weeks.
4 weeks?
Yeah,
both shut down, no throwing for 4 weeks. I mean, we'll be lucky if we see either of them back there by the end of this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird with all the injuries to pitchers since they didn't really have a true spring training.
They literally had a prompt that they just deleted Corey Kluber's name out and typed in Jose Leclerc's, and then they posted it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the weirdest set of injuries I think I've seen in a pretty long while here. So, I mean, we've been seeing injuries all over the place in baseball, though. I don't know if it's because the stopping and starting that they had to do to get back ready again, or what. But it's looking bad. Cody, you have the list of injuries?
Yeah, I can pull it up just a second. It's quite a doozy, if I can find it.
Yeah, it's bad. There is a ton of players on the injured list right now.
So this was last updated, I think, yesterday. But it's already we talked about Corey Kluber, Jose Leclerc, Clayton Kershaw, Justin Verlander, then Chris Davinsky. He's a good reliever. Alex Wood from the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Miles Mikolas from the Cardinals. And players that were already out before the season even started, Marcus Stroman and Noah Syndergaard of the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a crazy number of pitchers. Do y'all think it has to do with with the lack of long spring training to get these guys going? They just had 2 or 3 weeks to really get ready.
I think I don't know. I think it might be that or a lack of players actually getting enough work in when they had to stop playing baseball. I think that was probably the biggest deal in some of this is where they had to start and then stop and then start again. And that could be really weird or wonky on your arm and different types of your body. I mean, if you're not conditioned right. I mean, some of these players aren't a lot of them don't live in Texas, especially the ones not on the Rangers, obviously. So they don't, or Florida or some of these states that have been open and stuff. So a lot of these players, their facilities have been shut down. They haven't really been able to do some of the stuff they were trying to do. So
yeah, like there's what 4.
Let me ask. Besides just the starting and stopping, I've seen this kind of with NFL players. Like they've been training super hard in the off season during this pandemic. Do you think it's possible that some of the pitchers were like overworking during that break?
Possibly. It just kind of depends. There wasn't really a lot of evidence to show either way, honestly. And so, it's just that was just kind of me guessing at what could possibly be the reason for the injuries. I don't know if it would be necessarily overworking though, because they really didn't have actual work. The only thing they could really do is just throw to a backstop or something like that if they're a pitcher, or take some reps in a cage or off of like a tee, because there was limited ways to actually get any work in because you had to social distance and COVID shutdowns and things like that.
I gotcha. That makes more sense.
Well, they still could have met with their teammates if both were okay with it.
Yeah, that's true.
And played. But if like with Dak Prescott, when he worked out, I think when he worked out with Dez, he got a bunch of backlash for them all taking a picture together. And that may have been with Zeke. Him and Zeke, I don't remember.
That is true. Yeah, he did get a lot of backlash for that. And then him supposedly throwing a party.
Yeah.
Dak said, I don't care. Give me my money.
Guess what he's still not gotten?
Yeah, right? Yeah, I still didn't get that money. He's got 31 million bones right now. It's all right. He'll be fine.
Jerry's
plus
never
us endorsement deals. Hey, man, that got that yogurt money. He ain't worried about that.
So let's hold on a sec. Let's get back to baseball real quick. We talked about the Rangers. What do you guys think of the Astros so far?
I think it's been wonderful with the Astros.
Are you going to explain?
I really enjoyed watching the Astros play against the Dodgers, especially when Joe Kelly pitched against them.
Well, I will say this. It's looking pretty telling about who might have been cheating and who wasn't. Because right now, or through that Dodgers series, Bregman, Altuve, Springer, and Reddick combined, they were 0 for 29.
Jeez.
And that is not good. So they were not performing very well. That's for sure.
It's easier to hit when you know which pitches are coming.
Yeah, that is for sure. None of the big three, it seemed like they can hit anymore. Springer has a 47 batting average, Altuve 174, and Bregman's 182 on the season so far. And so I don't know. Anything could change around. Right now, according to
we're just a tenth of the way through the season, so a lot can change.
Yeah, according to advanced metrics, actually Christian Yelich, who might be the top 2 baseball players in the country, is actually, according to advanced metrics, he's actually one of the worst in baseball right now. And I'm pretty positive that's going to change. So we'll see. Verlander is a pretty big loss, but I don't know. There's been some mixed reports on him, so I'm not really sure how long he's going to be out for.
Yeah, and the Astros have so many young prospects and stuff too, where they can go and get another pitcher if they need. they were so bad for so long. They still have those guys that they can call up.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. I feel like their rotation isn't great right now, and so we'll.
I think it's still a good rotation.
Yeah, I think it's serviceable. Especially, I think it's enough to push if that lineup turns around. I think it's enough to push them back into fighting for first place in the division. I definitely think they're still a playoff team. I don't see them missing the playoffs, especially with expanded playoffs.
Yeah,
but honestly, I do think I would pick Oakland to win the AL West this year. I mean, they look like they have it together. So
for me, it just depends on Justin Verlander and how long he's out for, because they still have Zach Greinke and Lance McCullers, who I think should be are two quality guys. It depends on how McCullers continues to come back from his injury.
Yeah. That's true.
And if the lineup turns it around and they prove that they don't need the trash cans to play well, then they could elevate from not only division contenders but World Series contenders up there with the Yankees and Dodgers and Nationals and all that.
Yeah, and that would shut a lot of people up about them. That is for sure. That would keep people from talking. So I don't know. I mean, it's put up or shut up time for them, honestly. I mean, if they really want to get that monkey off their back, then it's time for them to actually to do it, you know? So we'll see what they can bring, but I don't know. It has been a great start for them. I mean, they've made it out of what seems to be a bad start by their core players, and they're still 3-3. And so
and a 500 record may get you to the playoffs this year.
I mean, if you look around the league, man, it's crazy. There's only very few teams that are actually making a good step forward here out of the first like week or so of baseball. I mean, the Indians are 5-2 and the Twins are 4-2. And then you got the Cubs at 4-2 and the Rockies at 4-1, the Dodgers 4-2, and the Padres at 4-2. Everybody else, they're either one win above 500, 500, or below 500.
So
go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah. So how long do you guys think it's going to take, like, until these teams are really starting to play to what they normally are?
Oh man, I don't know. I think you got a whole month.
Honestly, be able to do it this year.
What's up? Go ahead, Cody.
I don't even know if they'd be able to do it this year. Like, I don't even think 60 games is enough to really prove how good teams are. Like, I think at the All-Star break last year, the Washington Nationals, who won the World Series, weren't even going to make the playoffs.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, if you look at it on the opposite end of things, I mean, 60 games through last year, the Rangers had the 5th best record in baseball, and they ended up not even anywhere close to even the wild card. Like,
hey, they would have made the playoffs if it was 16 teams last year.
Yeah, that's true.
I think they were the second team out for the wild card. I think it was the Red Sox and them, if I remember right.
Well, let me sure on that one real quick, because I don't remember that. I don't remember if they were or not, because they ended up with 78 wins. Yeah, if there was 18 playoffs, it looks like they would have made it last year. That's a good point. I don't. Do you think that should be a permanent thing, Cody, or do you think they should keep it at the format it was?
I think a playoff expansion would be nice. Maybe do 12 teams.
That's what I think.
16 teams seems like too much. Like, but in baseball, anything can happen because there are so many upsets, and it depends on who's hot at the right time or who has an ace on their staff.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it before where what was it? The 2006 Cardinals barely even made the playoffs. They had like a 84 win season or something like that, and they ended up winning the World Series. So
for the 2011 Cardinals.
Same thing. Yeah, they ended up coming in and they shocked us. Oh, it was 83 wins. Sorry about that. Yeah, ended up winning the whole World Series over the Tigers in 2006 with 83 wins. I mean, that's how baseball works sometimes, man. I mean, a team comes in and they just get hot at the right time. I mean, it's crazy. That 60 games is really isn't enough to really tell anything about what a team actually is. And so, but I don't know. I think that 6 would make sense, 6 on each side, so a 12-team format. Because I mean, if you look at it, there's only 30 teams in MLB. So 16 teams, that's over 50% of your entire teams making the playoffs. I just don't know how I feel about, because some of them are going to be under 500, and I don't know how I feel about a under 500 team making the postseason.
Yeah, and then you don't have something like the NBA has, where the Bucks are going to play a horrible team in the first round, and they're going to win in 4 or 5 games, and they're going to blow them out in 3 of those wins.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I think there's a difference though between the NBA and MLB. Like the NBA is extremely lopsided. Like you know what teams are going to make it down the stretch. Like the MLB, the teams are probably more likely to make a run.
The MLB nowadays, yeah, you have a higher chance of really, really coming back and catching a team, and it's just, I don't know, the parity in MLB isn't as far as some of the leagues, So I mean, it's not. I don't know. I feel like the playoff format is fine for this season. I mean, this season the rules are already insane, anyways, especially with starting a runner on second base and extras, which I hate. But
I think it's good for this season because it's going to save pitchers, but I don't like it going forward.
Yeah, I think that I'm fine with an expansion about one team, honestly, because I really don't like the 1-game playoff for the wild card. I think that's kind of too random for a 162 game season. That's anything can happen in one game. It really doesn't tell you who's the better team is. I mean,
it's just really a matter of who has the better starting pitcher and bullpen, and who can get timely hits.
Yeah, I mean, even that. I mean, sometimes it's just an error. Like you can't avoid it. It's just something stupid happens, and look, your whole season's over after one game. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right. I feel like there needs to be a series.
The problem with that, though, if there are 6 teams, would be you'd more than likely give the 1 and 2 seeds buys.
Yeah.
And in baseball, baseball is one of those sports where a bye or multiple days off hurts players more than it helps them.
I mean, you can look at the 2016 Rangers. I mean, when they had that insane lineup going into the playoffs, and they, like, with Beltran in the middle and everybody was firing all cylinders, and they took too many days off because they were so far in first place that they came into the first series rusty and got destroyed by the Blue Jays.
Yep.
And it's just,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, baseball is weird like that. It's so much timing and so much routine,
Yeah, and the Blue Jays have been fighting for their lives for the last month of the season.
Yeah,
while
exactly.
The Rangers, they're just out having a good time, and Bannister just gave them too many days off and just mismanaged that stretch run.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's so. I mean, you just kind of you got to make sure your guys are staying sharp. But I can see why that would be an issue. But I don't know. I mean, you've seen it on the latter side too, where teams have gotten rest and they've done well. I mean, so it just depends on what kind of team you have, honestly, and it starts up with leadership. So, but I honestly I'm a fan of letting more teams into the playoffs, but I think 8 on both sides is just way too many.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, man, I mean, other than that, that seems to be all we really have on baseball at the moment. We can bounce over to another sport.
All right, so segueing from baseball over to football, let's take a look at the NFL's top 100. The issues with Dak Prescott and his contract, players that are opting out for the season due to concerns over COVID-19, and let's also talk a little bit about the Cowboys and Texans and the Patriots, just for Tyler.
So we can start with top 100. Should we go through the list real quick?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, should we start from the back and work our way down?
I got a complaint right off the bat about the top 100.
Go ahead.
Levante David is way better than number 100. He's one of the better linebackers in the league. That's terrible.
Yeah, a hell of a way to start the list. We're already wrong on number 100. I totally agree with you on that one.
Well, they wanted to start and end the list wrong.
They definitely did. They definitely did. I know the players, they don't look at like stats and things like that as much, and they do it more of like an experience-based voting. But man, I was like, some of these, it's inexcusable. I mean, keep going down the list. I have some more complaints.
Let's go. Come on.
I mean, I'm looking from up to the back. Like, Lamar Jackson obviously shouldn't be number one. Pat Mahomes obviously needs to be higher.
Who in their right mind does not think Pat Mahomes is the best player on the planet right now? Oh my God, I can't even fathom that. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, like
apparently enough players to drop him all the way to 4 thought that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess winning a Super Bowl still puts you behind Lamar Jackson. Like, are you kidding me? It just doesn't make sense.
I don't understand Ravens fans, because all the time Ravens fans were like, Flacco's elite because of his playoff performance. And then you go and have Lamar Jackson do terrible in the playoffs. Granted, his receivers are dropping everything, but still do terrible in the playoffs. And now he's number one player in football. Like, I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah,
I know it's a team sport, but
it just shows. It's just like Lamar Jackson's still very young. Like, he still has a lot of room to grow. He's definitely not a number one player in the league already.
Oh, like, he's a top 10 player. I think he's a top 3 quarterback. I would still put Russell Wilson above him, but still.
Yeah, that's a disrespect to Russ too. Like, I think Russ has been a lot more established at this point. He's been a lot more consistent than Lamar, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I'm fine with Aaron Donald being up there. If Aaron Donald was number one, then I'd be like, okay, that's fine too, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a 1A, 1B. You can't go wrong with Pat Mahomes. You can't go wrong with Aaron Donald. I think Mahomes is the best offensive player in the game. Donald's the best defensive player in the game. The two argument between the two is like kind of comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Mahomes, he's the guy who goes out and wins you the Super Bowl, but Donald's the guy who comes out and secures it for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you can't really know who's better at what until like you switch in positions. Put Aaron Donald as a QB, see what happens. I would take it.
So we putting Pat Mahomes on the line?
Heck yeah, we are.
Heck yeah.
Oof.
So would Aaron Donald look like Josh Allen out there?
I mean, he might be better.
Who, by the way, Josh Allen's ranked number 87.
Insane.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
this is the one time I will ever give Carson Wentz some love. There's no reason that Josh Allen should be on that list and Carson Wentz isn't.
I don't think Kyler Murray should be on the list. He's number 90.
Think so either, honestly. But that's more excusable.
Yeah. It's really across the board. The QBs is just not good. Like, you look at Tom Brady too. Like, he's way too high. Like, Tom Brady did not have a great season last year.
He didn't. I mean, all right, yeah. So I'm a little bit biased when it comes to Dak, but there's no way Dak is the 9th ranked quarterback in the NFL. He is far better than that. He is way better than Jimmy G.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would probably put him ahead of Tom at this point. Tom is just very old. Like, you saw all last year, he couldn't throw beyond 10 yards.
Oh, for sure, man. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense that that you have Dak this low when Dak was literally the most accurate quarterback from the pocket last year. I mean, he ranked towards the top in every single stat, every single metric. It's just insane. The dude was phenomenal.
And he had a horrible coach.
And he led his receivers led the league in drops. It's wild to me that just continues to get so disrespected all the time, and it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, let me play devil's advocate for a second. First of all, I think the Dallas fan base, you guys kind of bring this on yourself just a little bit. I mean, y'all be acting like he's like the greatest quarterback of all time. So like when you get the response from all the other fan base saying he's not that good, like what do you expect? Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't know. I feel like, I mean, there's just big amount of fans that, an ample amount of Cowboys fans that actually hate Dak. I mean, they've had this weird vendetta against Dak since he took over for Romo. I mean, it's not Dak's fault that Romo's back can't freaking take one hit in the NFL anymore, you know? I mean, but ever since Dak came in, he's been lights out at everything. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I don't know. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the NFL by any means, but I think if you put together a season like he did in 2019, then you need to start giving him some respect. I mean, he's definitely better than number 9.
He deserves more respect. So I agree with you.
Deshaun Watson's ranked 20th, and Dak is 46th. I think Watson and Dak are on this. I would say they're pretty much on the same level. Like, I can see arguments rather have Dak than Watson, but
if you want to do a rundown between Dak and Watson, then here it is. I mean, completion percentage, Watson won 67.8% to Dak's 66.3%. This is 2018 to 2019, so it's combining 2 seasons. Passing yards, Watson had 8,017, Dak had 8,787. Yards per attempt, Watson had 8 even. Dak had 7.8. Passing touchdowns, they're tied at 52. Interceptions, Deshaun Watson had more at 21. Dak had 19. Deshaun Watson had more fumbles, 19, than Dak, 18. Deshaun Watson had more sacks, 106 to Dak's 79. Now, Deshaun Watson had a better passer rating at 100.6 to Dak Prescott's 98.4, and he had more rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, 964 yards to 582, and 12 touchdowns to 9. I mean, so it adds up to Watson having 64 total touchdowns compared to Dak's 61 over that 2-year span, which honestly I think Dak's been finally proven that he's playing his best football. And while Watson's getting all the praise in the world, granted he has a worse offensive line than Dak, but I mean,
much worse.
They're comparable.
Yeah.
They're comparable. And Dak didn't get receivers actually until Cooper came around halfway through 2018. And look what happened when Cooper came. I mean, Cooper's set the world on fire with Dak. Vice versa. I mean,
at home.
At home for sure.
Yeah.
Cooper disappears on the road. But it's been ridiculous. I mean, now we're gonna get to see you're gonna see Deshaun Watson. Honestly, I think he's gonna take a step down with losing D-Hop, because without Hopkins, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think Deshaun Watson's a great quarterback, and honestly, I still put Deshaun Watson above Dak, but it's close, you know. And
Watson's gonna lose that guy that's Hopkins is always double covered, but he could still throw it to him because Hopkins had hands of glue.
Yeah,
and now he loses that guy, which frees the defense up more to do things like blitz the Texans' horrible offensive line, and it could potentially risk Watson getting hurt. And Watson's already had a bad injury, and we could possibly see it again or something different because of that offensive line. I don't think the Texans did very much in the draft. I may be wrong, to help him out.
I don't think they did either. I mean, on the other hand, with Dak, you just added CeeDee Lamb to 2 basically number 1 receivers in Gallup and Cooper. So it's about to be pass happy as hell with McCarthy. So I mean, it's going to be. I mean, Dak definitely has the better cast around him now. And I mean, arguably he probably did beforehand too. But I mean, not receiving core. So until now, and so I don't know.
That's changed quickly.
Yeah. Good old Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien over there just ruined the Texans.
I don't know what that dude's smoking, but
yeah, let's just get rid of Deshaun Watson's just safety blanket. Yeah, that'll go well, and we still don't repair the offensive line. Like, I totally agree with you guys. I think Dak's going to have a lot better season this year because he definitely has better weapons, and he's going to improve.
If it's a better season than last year, then it's going to be – that's MVP numbers.
Yeah, he could be up there. We'll see. Obviously, there's a lot up in the air right now with the season. But the other thing I was going to say is, Deshaun Watson is definitely going to take a step back this year. And, he is definitely going to be put at risk at times. I really think Bill O'Brien needs to try to be making some moves to help Deshaun Watson out. But knowing Bill, he's probably just going to make them worse somehow. He's going to find a way.
He's probably going to trade Watson.
Just trade Watson. Yeah.
He'll trade Watson for a bag of chips.
Are they tanking for Lawrence? Is that what they're doing?
Ooh.
No, that's Bill Belichick.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Patriots. Shoot, we have a number of guys sit out.
You know that scene in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will Smith is saying bye to the house
and there's
when
nothing
he's moving
there?
out, and there's nothing there? That's going to be Cam Newton.
So Cam Newton just got there.
Yeah.
Poor Cam. He had all these inspirational videos. He's like, I'm going to have the best comeback. I'm going to do all this. And he's got no help at all.
Oh, dude, it's going to be bad. I don't know. I mean, if anybody can make something out of nothing, it's Bill Belichick. But, I mean, who was it when?
199.
What was that?
He turned 199 into the GOAT.
That's
yeah,
true.
That's true.
Imagine what he's going to do with Cam. But he's got to get Cam some help. I think, with these guys sitting out, I think we have 6 players that are sitting out now. They did free up a significant amount of cap space, so they could start picking up some guys.
That is true.
Clowney.
What was that, Cody?
Jadeveon Clowney?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this. Initially, I was like, yes, Clowney would be great, but I don't think he really fits the system very well.
I mean, the Patriots' defense last year was elite. But they're losing Chung and Hightower, and I don't know. I mean, do you think they can hold that up to what they were? I mean, it's still Gilmore and all the other studs, but
yeah, they still have the best corner in the league. But I think their priority is they need to replace those 2 spots. I think there's some linebackers out there, some pretty good linebackers. Obviously, Clay Matthews is out there. I don't know who's out there right now, safety wise, that replace Chung, but who knows? Bill Belichick is always going to find a way. They drafted that D2 guy that no one even heard of. He probably saw something special in him. Him and his son Steve will find a way to make that defense good again.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I have no doubt about that. I think offensive wise, you definitely have a lot of concerns because they really have no weapons besides Cam.
So
hashtag make the Patriots great again.
Yeah, right. No, I don't think anybody in the NFL other than Patriots fans want that. Maybe Tyler.
Tyler.
Just me.
Yeah, just you, man.
Just me and all the state of Texas.
Hashtag just Tyler.
So do y'all think Jadeveon Clowney's overrated? He's ranked number 41.
I mean, he's a monster, but he's definitely underachieved since he's gotten in the league. Now, he has been injured a lot since he's gotten into the league, but obviously we thought he was going to be on the same level as Aaron Donald, as literally one of the best defensive linemen in the league, but it just hasn't been that way.
I mean, he underachieved to where he got drafted. That's for sure. I mean, that's not even arguable. But I mean, is it really a fail when the player actually turns out to be a productive player? I mean,
yeah, that's a good point. I
mean, he's productive, that's for sure. But compared to what the hype around him was, I mean, it's an underachievement. But
was he though? Last year, in 13 games he had 3 sacks.
I mean, that's definitely an underachievement. But
yeah.
I mean, how many of those games was he kind of injured though?
Unclear.
Sack totals aren't everything.
He started 11.
What's that?
Sack totals are not everything, though. That is for a defensive lineman. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence does a lot.
He had 31 tackles and 7 tackles for loss.
Yeah, and then you're probably not counting hurries and just pressuring the quarterback.
13 quarterback hits.
Have the tight end chip or the running back come over and block. That affects the game. So he definitely still has an impact. He's just statistically wise, he's not as good as we think he should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the same thing goes with DeMarcus Lawrence. He doesn't put up high sack totals, or he didn't this past season, but he was in on every single play. And I mean, according to advanced stats, he was really good at his job. But the basic stats don't really support it. I don't know. I do think though that Jadeveon Clowney is definitely an underachiever, and I mean, for what the guy is and what the guy looks like, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
you got to get together.
Yeah.
Here's
some guys.
Let me ask you guys, where do you think would be a good spot for him?
I don't think he's going to make the top 100.
No, not in the top
Oh.
100. Just what team should pick him up right now?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean,
yeah,
I think the Patriots would be fun to see.
Oh, absolutely.
they have the money.
Yeah,
They do, and I would love
or
to see it.
Or just throw them on the Browns with everybody else who's undisciplined and see what happens.
Oh, jeez.
I still hear rumors of him to the Cowboys, but I don't know if that would work.
There's
No, I don't
always
think-
rumors of so and so player going to the Cowboys.
I
don't see
know.
that
I get tired of them.
Dude, it's
I'm tired of
ridiculous.
those
We had to
rumors.
listen to Jamal Adams rumors forever.
For a year.
Well, yeah, let's talk about Jamal Adams. What do you guys think of that trade?
Why would you trade that much for a safety?
You gotta get the Legion of Boom going again. Come on now,
Dude, you're never going to have the Legion of Boom if you can't draft anybody.
Yeah, seriously, they gave up.
Hey, they
so
wanted to
much.
draft a guy with a third-round grade in the first round. Leave him alone.
Dude, I don't know. Like, if it wasn't for Russell Wilson, man, the Seahawks would – oh, my God. Dude, that man has saved that franchise beyond belief.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
It'd be bad there if they didn't have Wilson.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
I mean,
He has saved Pete Carroll and their GM. He has saved their jobs because they've done a terrible job drafting.
oh, for sure, dude. It's been ugly. And so I don't know. They're always competitive though because of Wilson. I mean,
Yep.
Put some respect on that. I guess he did get the respect.
I mean, we still can't discredit like their linebackers and their DBs always have been pretty good. Like
Yeah.
there is that.
Yeah.
Like even at post Richard
Bobby
Sherman, Bobby Wagner for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
But like receiver wise, offensive lineman wise, like obviously they've been a mess.
Can I mention something real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
What NFL player voted Todd Gurley onto the list?
At 51.
Yeah.
I don't know. People must think he's still good. It's just
I saw that. I was going to mention that one too. That's kind of ridiculous.
Dude, that is the most I don't have a word for that. That's bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
And Zach Martin at 55.
Yeah, that's crazy to me too. That's the best lineman. That might be the best lineman in the NFL. The only one that's debatable above him, really, I guess, like Quentin Nelson. I mean, there's.
Yeah, like, is he the highest ranked O lineman? No, Quentin Nelson's ranked 29th.
That's it. That's the highest lineman. Wow.
Yeah, Zach Martin is 55. He's definitely a top. I would say easily a top 35 player in the NFL.
There's not 54 players in the NFL better than Zach Martin. That's just untrue.
Todd Gurley apparently is.
Apparently.
Golly. And then they have Devontae Adams at 57.
Yeah, another player Todd Gurley is better than.
Yeah, I was like, I know Devontae Adams
should we just run through the list?
But
all the players better than Todd Gurley that should be ahead of him.
Let's do it. Chris Jones is better. Marcus Peters is better. Stephon Diggs is better. Zach Martin is better. Is DeForest Buckner better? Probably. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna say
better.
Yeah, everyone from 52 to 100, except maybe like Kirk Cousins and Josh Allen, are better than Todd Gurley.
What about Kyler Murray?
Better.
No, give me Kyler.
Give you Kyler.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray doesn't have arthritis.
Yeah. Give me the one without arthritis or tendonitis.
Or tendonitis. Shout out to Darius.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Christian. Lamar's the GOAT.
Thank God we're not working with Christian anymore. Can you imagine that? Guys, that proves my point. Lamar Jackson is number one on some stupid top 100.
Yeah, the same list that has Todd Gurley at 51 and Jimmy Garoppolo ahead of Dak.
Yeah, this list in general is just so stupid. Like, first of all, I think there should be a separate list for offense and defense. I think
we should just go by position.
Yeah, that's really what it should be. It should be like top 5 or top 10 in the league. This is just so dumb. Like, how do you compare Lamar Jackson to Aaron Donald and then compare them to George Kittle? Like, that's just so weird.
I say we just strap up everybody on the on different sides of the ball and see what happens.
Let's put Tom Brady at corner.
Oh, jeez. Those ankles are getting burnt like toast.
We'll have Tom Brady guard Richard Sherman.
Oh, what do you think Tom Brady's 40 is at this point?
1840.
1840?
That was the year he was born, wasn't it?
Something like that. The other quarterback we didn't mention, what do you guys think of Drew Brees' spot?
I think I think he's more around like 25. I think Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott, I can see arguments for any order for those three, but I think they're all about the same level.
Yeah, see, I'm in the same boat as that. I see the top three as Mahomes, Wilson, and Jackson, and then you could make an argument for pretty much the rest of the field from 4 to 10. I mean, it can go either way, and there's stats that you can show that can make your argument go anyway. Now the guys that I think that are in there, it's definitely not Josh Allen, and definitely not Kyler Murray. That's in the top 10 right now for me. But I mean, so I don't agree with the list, but yeah, I mean, Breeze is in there, Rodgers is in there, Dak is in there, Watson is in there for sure. And whatever order you put those in, I'm not gonna fight you on it, but I just feel like those stats show you that those are the guys that are next on the list.
Yeah,
I'm shocked Matt Ryan isn't on here.
you know, they left off Carson Wentz though. I saw on Twitter.
Wait, Matt Ryan isn't on the list?
No.
Oh man, I thought he was
Matt
on the
Ryan
list.
and Carson
Wentz is also off the list. Yeah.
Well, boo Eagles. I don't care. They can go cry.
No,
Nick Foles won that championship.
I think you can make an argument for either of them over guys like Darren Waller, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. Just going through the list and nitpicking. Well, I think Todd Gurley needs to be higher, like number 1.
Can he somehow go higher than that? Can we like set 0 or something? I think that's perfect.
He starts going on the opposite end of it. He's like -1.
-1.
Yeah.
It's too good.
How many good knees does he have?
0.
Wait, did you say Josh Allen as in Josh, I'll throw it 30 yards over your head, Allen?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, apparently Josh Allen and his team were supposed to win the division finally break the Patriots streak.
Hey, the Bills are pretty good, though.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, they are.
We'll see. Over
and
Bill's
they got
dead
Stephon
body.
Diggs.
And they have Stephon Diggs. That is right.
For Josh Allen to overthrow.
Yep.
Oh, look, Stephon Diggs is wide open in the end zone. Let me run it for 4 yards.
Any other?
Josh Jacobs is low.
What's up?
Josh Jacobs is pretty low. He's 72. I think he should be a little higher.
Yeah, probably the top 50. Like, you could definitely make arguments for them to be higher. It's kind of a tough thing with this.
Yeah,
list.
I'm kind of on
besides Todd Gurley, of course.
I'm kind of on team running backs don't matter at all, and they're easily replaceable, so none of them are really
Whoa. Come on now.
Ask Marshawn Lynch what he thinks of that.
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
I'll just give Marshawn a bag of Skittles. He'll be all right.
That's like other positions and other players that stand out to you on this list. You guys see it? Like receiver-wise, I thought it was kind of interesting.
Devontae Adams, way too low. I think Quentin talked about that a minute ago.
Mm-hmm. We saw Julio Jones coming in at 11. What else we got?
I think Chris Godwin's a little low. Oh, Keenan Allen's way too low.
Yeah,
I agree.
Keenan Allen and Cooper are really low.
I think Cooper's okay at 50 or 49. But Keenan Allen, I think, is a top 50 player.
Well,
I think so too.
Keenan Allen, he's probably gonna be a little bit higher because last year was kind of tough. Like Phillip Rivers did not have his best season. That's a tough thing about the receiver spot. You're so dependent on the QB that you have.
Keenan Allen still had a good season.
Yeah, but he could have had an even better season. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, yeah, he had a better season than he did the year before. Actually, he had 1,200 yards. He had 3 more yards and 7 more receptions with the shell of quarterback.
Hey, where did Odell come in again?
Him and Jarvis are pretty close up there. I think it's like the 50s. Let me see.
I thought it was the 60s.
Maybe
Couldn't remember.
60s.
Odell.
The other
Jarvis is
Brown.
61. Odell's 59.
Odell's 59. So here's a question. Do y'all think Odell still has it in him to be a top 3 receiver in football?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be hard to tell, though, because he tore his groin last year. Or he had like a hernia, right?
Yeah.
Was
I
it
don't
hernia?
remember what was wrong with him.
It was one of those two. I can't remember.
It was one of those two, and either one, they're definitely going to like make your career a lot harder. Like that's going to be lingering for a while. So we'll see how he bounced back this year. I don't. He could be a top 3 receiver again, but
put that groin on ice, baby.
Yeah.
Got Quentin TJ Watts 25.
Yeah, wait, hold on. How is JJ Watt still on the list too? That's something that always messes with me. Madden always rates him still high. The dude plays like 2 games a year.
Because he's still good.
He's still good in those 2 games.
That is true.
Yeah. I would rather have 2 games of JJ Watt than 16 games of Taco Charlton.
That is true. I saw.
Which brings me back to TJ Watt. What could have been? Sorry, Watt could have been.
Boo. Get off the stage.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
Any other things stand out to you guys on this list? I feel like
I think Travis Kelce should be higher.
I agree. I agree with you. That's one of the things that's that. I think he should be in the top 15 for sure.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is too high.
How do you think Aaron Rodgers feels right now? He's ranked at 16, and they just drafted Jordan Love. It's like
I think
I'm still a top 20 player in the league, and y'all think I'm washed. That sucks, man.
I don't think he is anymore.
You think he is or not?
I don't think so.
You don't think he's washed?
I don't think he's a top 30 player anymore.
Yeah,
I think he's a top 10 quarterback, but I don't know if he has that what he did against the Cowboys in 2016 stuff anymore. I mean, I could be wrong. I could still see him going out and it, but it's been a while.
I think he's still good enough. Like it didn't warrant the Jordan Love pick. It really didn't.
No, absolutely
no.
not.
Yeah, I agree there. I just don't see him as like he still gets the love like he's the most ridiculous quarterback on the planet, but he's not that anymore. You know, I still think he's good, but I mean,
yeah, we'll see it when he's with the Patriots next year.
Is that
right?
what the Patriots are going to be? We're just going to cycle in,
Yeah.
old MVPs.
Yeah, and then Dak will be on the tag, his second year tag with the Cowboys. Y'all will have Rodgers for a year, and then you'll get Dak and win like 8 out of 10 Super Bowls because you know how to coach a guy.
Yeah, let me ask you guys a question. Do you think the Patriots dynasty is over, or do you think it's going to keep going?
I think as long as Bill Belichick has a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
Shoot, and he's got Steve Belichick learning everything. Bill goes down, then we got Steve rocking the mullet. I think he's probably learned enough where he could coach pretty well too.
Here's the thing though, what Bill Belichick protege has went on and coached and has performed well?
I don't know, to be honest.
There hasn't been many. I don't know 100% all of them. But
I mean, what would you say about Josh McDaniels? Yeah,
that's what I would say.
It seems like there's a trend where they do really well with Bill, they leave, and they eventually return because they didn't do well without him. So,
how long until Patricia's back?
Patricia, that's a good point. I don't know.
I can't believe he hasn't been fired.
Yeah, the Lions are just going to continue to be abysmal. Is what it is.
Stafford's a guy who I think is a top 100 player.
I think
he was hurt, but
Stafford. I mean, before he got injured last year, he was looking like an MVP.
Yeah,
dude is phenomenal. Still, he can make every single throw on the field, and the dude gets no respect.
Yeah, because Detroit
he's on a horrible team.
Respects.
Oh, I know. I mean, he's stuck in what looks like Tony Romo hell.
Yeah, he's literally in like a purgatory where he's just stuck. he probably misses Calvin Johnson. He's probably just so tired of this shit.
Calvin Johnson could come back and still kick some ass. Hell, T.O. could come back. Did y'all see that video?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man.
Gosh.
46 years old, running a 4.4.
Yeah, it just shows how unathletic we are at this point. We're in our 20s and we'd still get roasted by him.
T.O. could be 90 and still roast me in a race.
That's probably true.
Hey, I know college football players that would get roasted by 50-year-old T.O.
Dude,
that's very true. Hey, Mike Tyson's making a comeback. Why not T.O.? Why not? It's 2020. Everything is up in the air. Why not?
Hey, world's ending this year anyways. It's all right.
Yeah, let's do it. Just balls to the wall. Do it.
Yeah.
All right. What do y'all think is going to happen with the Dak contract?
I'm gonna stay out of this one. I'm just gonna let y'all two.
No, go ahead, Tyler. Have at it.
I don't know at this point. So explain to me. So he's still holding out. Is he gonna get franchise tag? Right?
He already accepted the tender, and it's already
accepted the tender.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had a deal in place, but apparently they didn't get it done fast enough,
which is ridiculous,
to the NFL fast enough. So the NFL is not allowing it.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't think he can sign anything with the team until next offseason.
The question is, if Dak goes out this year and does even better, that price tag just went way up.
Yeah, it's really going to depend on how he does this year. If he can also shit the bed, and then there goes that price tag.
I mean, I'm one of the biggest Dak supporters there is, and if he shits the bed off of with this receiving core, and with Jason Garrett not being there to hold him back, then he
has a Super Bowl winning head coach too.
Yeah,
he's got no excuse this year, for sure.
I mean, oh man,
save injury.
Yeah, besides like injury
or corona, or he gets corona.
But that's if the defense gets shored up. I mean, they were awful. I mean, now they got some talent on the defensive side of the ball, but whatever was going on last year, it just wasn't coming together. They were not good. they were below league average in most stats that matter. And I mean, their special teams, they literally are one of the few teams I've seen in a while literally lose games because they were that bad on special teams.
Yeah, that's how they lost to the Patriots.
Yeah,
right?
They straight up lost to the Patriots that game because of special teams, and Dak had it was either the worst or the second worst average starting field position in the league. They had, oh my gosh, I think it was the most missed field goals in the league. Because Maher, man, it was there was multiple games there where if they would just make a couple more field goals, they win the game easy. And they were really like a 10-6, 11-5 team inside of the body of an 8-8 team. And
and they were one of the best teams in the league at going from the 20 to 20.
Yeah,
is that good old Jason Garrett red zone play calling.
They also
run on first down.
Yeah, red zone runs first down every single time. And I have my personal feelings about Zeke, but it's just, man, I don't know. I hope that they're able to utilize Zeke a little bit in a way that's more modern day running back style rather than just pound it right up the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure McCarthy is going to use them in a little different options. It's not going to be with what Jason Garrett was doing before.
And I think we'll see two running back sets with Zeke and Pollard, and let Dak have some fun with that, where he makes maybe some RPOs in there where he can look to run it with Zeke, run it himself, give it to Pollard, or give it to one of those three number one receivers that they have.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited to see what CeeDee Lamb does.
Dude, they had a great draft.
They really did. I think Diggs is going to be the steal out of it. I mean, that dude, I've seen the videos of him in the offseason stuff like that, and dude's looking good. He looks solid. I honestly think he's going to start.
Yeah, the Dallas draft just really surprised me. Normally I'm shitting on the Cowboys, and I saw all these picks. I was like, wow, They really knocked out of the ballpark.
You were texting me during the draft in awe.
I honestly think, like, you guys, you touched on special teams being a problem, but offensively, I think you guys are set. I think defensively, you guys are pretty solid. It's just going to be like special teams and kind of the extra things. They're going to make or break the team this year.
Well, I think they have a decent punter in Chris Jones. I think he's okay.
Yeah.
And then they have a good kicking competition going on with Greg Zuerlein, who used to be one of the best kickers in the NFL, and then Forbath, who went 10 for 10 for him last year.
Hey, that's Greg the Leg versus Kai the Guy. So we'll see what happens there. But I got money on Forbath.
That's gonna be a fun battle to watch.
For sure. So let's kind of wrap up this NFL talk. Let's talk a little bit about just the seasons, the outlook of the season, kind of what's going on with coronavirus. Right now, what do you guys think kind of the NFL is going to put into place as a result of the coronavirus?
Go ahead, go first, Cody.
I don't even know.
Yeah,
they've had all these months to prepare and still aren't prepared.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like with this and college football, it seems like they just they're waiting and they're waiting and they're waiting, and like they're not planning at all. Maybe
I don't think anyone really thought this was going to last as long as it has.
Yeah, and that's so dumb. It's like you should be planning for the worst no matter what, especially when you're running $1 billion organization.
I think that they really need to take a look at what's going on in sports right now and look at the sports not having any problems yet. Look at baseball, and this is coming from a huge baseball fan too. And this is but looking at it, they're gonna be if just having COVID cases is the thing that's gonna mess up your league and shut things down, then you need to go bubble.
Yeah, I think they need to go bubble for sure, but for some,
that's going to bring up the problem we talked about with baseball, except this is going to be an even bigger scale because baseball has twice as many players as basketball, and then the NFL has twice as many players as baseball.
That is true.
Yeah, and not to mention you have the trainers, all the extra coaches. It's hundreds and really thousands more players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is true.
Logistically, it's just not. I don't think it's going to work if teams are just traveling constantly. The idea I kind of had is and I kind of had this for baseball. I think they should be not necessarily a bubble situation, but they have teams kind of stuck in areas for a long period of time, playing in the same arenas. Maybe let's say the Cowboys would be home for 4 straight games and they fly in 3 teams. Right. And then they kind of rotate. Something like that. It would be kind of like a pseudo bubble kind of thing. But I don't think they could go a full season where everyone's just kind of flying and moving around constantly, going game to game. That's just not
for football. It's kind of easier because you can utilize college campuses. So you could do something like have half the teams in, what I was saying with baseball, you could have half the teams in the Dallas area, half the teams in the Houston area, or you could do it in California, Florida, other places. But I'm thinking Dallas because you have the Cowboys, SMU, TCU, and you could probably utilize the Rangers' old stadium for football games. And then in Houston, you can use NRG Stadium, U of A, where U of H plays, Rice, and all those places.
All those places, including the BAT, HBU.
Yeah, the BAT.
No, but we've seen it. We've seen with the XFL. They basically took over all the campuses in Houston when they're doing their preseason. We've seen it with they do joint preseasons in the NFL. I think it's definitely doable where you can have all these teams kind of in one location or in multiple locations. But I think the idea is they don't need to be moving around a lot. They need to be secured and different locations for long periods of time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they could maybe divide it where the NFC is on the West Coast and the AFC is on the East Coast, and like the playoffs, they work their way like more towards the Central for as the playoffs go on or something.
I bet we just Field of Dreams it. Just make a bunch of fields and cornfields, and
Yeah, if you build it, they'll come.
We can start getting creative, stuff like that. I've seen on Twitter they're talking about taking over the Kibbe Dome in Idaho, taking over some of these domes.
Let's go.
I've seen in the past in college basketball has done games on like aircraft carriers. We could set up an aircraft carrier at sea.
I'm a fan of Football Island.
On there. Football Islands. I think that's a good idea.
It's like Survivor.
Let's move all the football players to Hawaii and make them play there.
Let's take all the players and move them somewhere different. No, but getting back to the Fight Island, I think Roger Goodell needs to be on the phone with Dana White, and he needs to be learning from what they've done. Like, obviously, it's not the same scale, but if you look at the success stories of this coronavirus, the UFC has absolutely killed it.
If you put Zeke on an island, he's gonna be crop topping, walking around drinking margaritas out of a pineapple or a coconut.
He's gonna get even fatter.
Yeah.
He's gonna walk out of that looking like Vince Wilfork.
Oh jeez. Hey, I feel like he's still gonna be pretty productive.
Hey,
he's gonna run through tackles.
Yeah, he's gonna bulldoze people.
Why do you think he always falls
He's gonna be
forward?
like Eddie Lacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he is becoming an Eddie Lacy.
He eat his way out of the league.
Yeah.
Or Jamarcus Russell.
Jeez. Jared Lorenzen. All right, guys, let's transition over to NBA bubble action. What y'all got?
Yeah, let's jump right into it. We had our first game back. We had the Utah Jazz against the New Orleans Pelicans. Utah Jazz just barely won tonight, 106-104. And what was really a kind of sloppy game throughout. A lot of turnovers from both sides, a lot of missed shots. And then I think coming into this was kind of the big question, of course, was how was Zion going to do in this? And he was very efficient, very solid, but he did not play a lot of minutes. He also did not finish the last couple of minutes of the fourth quarter, and I know Twitter was often awfully pissed about that for sure. But it was again sloppy game for the most part. Utah's veteran leadership and just more cohesive team just kind of barely snuck away with the win. Cody, do you want to just kind of give us a little rundown of some of the stats? Who did well, who didn't?
Yeah, so Zion, like he said, was real efficient. He had 13 points in 15 minutes. Oddly enough, he didn't have any rebounds. He just had an assist. But he was minus 16 when he was on the floor. That's not very good for a guy who played 15 minutes. Then J.J. Redick played really well for the Pelicans off the bench. In 26 minutes, he scored 21 points. He really carried the team. He and Brandon Ingram. Ingram had 23 and 8. He didn't shoot very well, but no one really did.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
We're gonna get more into like the awards of the season, but it's come very clear that Brandon Ingram is definitely the most improved player. I think that's clear to everyone. Tonight he looked very good. Like again, it was a very sloppy game from everyone, but Brandon Ingram at times was just unstoppable. He looked like a cross between like a KD and a Kobe. Like he looked really good for sure. But
yeah, he's really started to look like he has KD like traits on offense, like when he drives and stuff. And he has that slim build like KD.
Yeah, but then he has that Mamba mentality. There's just times where he's just like he's ISOing and he's gonna take whoever switches off on him and he's just gonna hit a mid-range jumper on them. Like it's inevitable. It really was.
Yeah.
But give us some stats from the Jazz players.
So the Jazz, Rudy Gobert, ironically, had the first bucket in the return from the NBA. If y'all forgot, he's kind of the guy that shut it down because he was the first NBA player with a positive test, and really just spiraled everything from there. And then he also scored the last basket of the game, securing the Jazz.
The last free throw, right?
The last free throw of the game, getting the Jazz the win, which it's pretty cool. He's how his fingerprints were all over the game like the microphone. Jordan Clarkson led the Jazz in points off the bench. He had 23, even though he was minus 15. Donovan Mitchell and Mike Conley both had 20, though, for him in the win.
Yeah, I think you could just see, like, Utah is just a deeper team. They're more experienced. They have guys who can just step up and make plays when other guys are struggling. So it's tough for New Orleans. They're trying to get that 8th seed, but they're not going to beat a team like this. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, New Orleans, they'll lose in the first round if they make the playoffs, but I think this is just, for them, they should just view it as we need to be happy to be here because it's just more experience for our guys, more of a chance for them to gel together for the future. Because since Zion's joined the team and started playing, I think they're a quality team, probably better than Memphis, but I think they would still lose in the first round if they played the Lakers or Clippers or whoever.
It would be great to see them get that 8th seed and play against LeBron. I know ESPN would just explode over that, just having LeBron against Zion, but I don't think it's likely at this point, unfortunately. They still have a lot they need to improve in, but for sure you can see tonight, like, their future is bright. They're going to be a good team eventually. It's just not right now, for sure.
Well, what do y'all think about Portland's chances of sneaking in there at that 8th seed?
Portland is a dark horse because if Lillard's on, like, they can beat pretty much anyone. I don't think they're very deep, but
that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
you can have Lillard dropping 50 and they could pull off some upsets there.
Yeah, I think you're kind of seeing, like, the reports leading up to this. Like, it seemed like Lillard was maybe not wanting to play. I think you see the reason why, because it's just like he's going to have to carry his team, and then he's just going to get swept probably in the first round, which is unfortunate. And it just shows, it's like the Trailblazers, him and McCollum are great players. They haven't had a lot of support. It seems like every single year they're getting a 7 or 8 seed, and they're just they're getting bounced in the first round, and like they don't deserve that. Yeah. There's some good players.
They need that third scorer. They don't really have that. They had a good run when they had before I think Nurkic got hurt last year, but I don't know if he's going to be back or not for the bubble. But it'd be nice to have him. But I still think they need a wing that can help them score some more.
Yeah, and they just need more depth, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's go over to the upper echelon of teams here about the Lakers and Clippers, right?
Yeah, right. So they were game 2 tonight. Lakers Lakers were down halfway through the game, but it seemed like they were able to kind of pull it out and win. They won 103-101 in what ESPN is probably going to paint as a huge matchup, but it's actually not that big of a deal right now because both their seeds are basically locked. Like, what they're basically playing right now is just kind of get back into, like, that basketball mode that they were in, that elite level they're in.
Get out of their rust.
Yeah, exactly. And I think from what we saw, like, there was definitely some rust, just like the first game today. There's definitely a rust from everyone, including LeBron. LeBron did not shoot very well. Cody, you want to run through the stats a little bit of some of these guys too?
Yeah, going off LeBron, I think in the first half, it was looking like he'd have a quadruple double. He had like 5 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 turnovers. But he turned it around in the second half, and he had a double-double, 16-11 with 7 assists. And he shot 6 and 19, though.
Well, he's in a tough spot. So he's got to play basically point guard for Lakers now that Avery Bradley did not join the bubble, and then that Rajon Rondo got hurt. So he's got to adjust to a little bit different role.
They have Caruso. They're good.
They do have Caruso, who, unfortunately, he did play 28 minutes tonight, but he only had 7 points.
He had a big steal in the game that helped secure their win.
Yeah, that's kind of what Caruso needs to do to help these Lakers. He really needs to make those small ball like plays, like hustle plays. He needs to be that guy right now and just kind of do whatever they need at point guard or shooting guard to kind of get the offense going.
Yeah, Anthony Davis balled out. He had 34 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 8 of 19 shooting, but he was 16 of 17 at the line. I guess the officials wanted to help him out some.
Yeah,
or they were just playing
that's the thing.
Davis.
That's the thing I noticed with both games too is a lot of fouls called. I wonder in this environment, like, is it easier to see things or something, or is there just a little bit more different dynamic, or refs are more likely to call more calls? I don't know, but it just seemed like they're definitely whistle happy in both games today.
Well, to me, actually, to bounce off of one of our polls we submitted on Twitter, and the questions that we got asked were about not having fans in the stands and the effect that it's going to have on games and things like that. It's looking really weird for me for watching NBA. With it just feels like, I don't know, it has like this weird like fishbowl effect where everything just feels so much tighter and smaller, and it's just looks weird on TV to me. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah. Go ahead, Cody.
I think having no fans and that effect, I think it does stuff to the officials where they're like, oh, well, we can just call whatever we want, and we don't have to worry about getting booed and yelled at and cussed at by the drunk fans all around the stadium because they're not here to yell at us and stuff. And I think the players realize that too, so there may not be like as many bad games. Like if a player's bad on the road or something, they will probably start playing well on the road because they don't have the opposing crowd intimidating them and all that.
Right. Yeah. See, I didn't notice it. You can't even notice it really watching MLB games other than the dumb cardboard cutouts. But you don't really feel a whole different watching it on TV because the piped in crowd noise. But it's the way the bubble looks it's so small. And so it's just really weird to me. But
yeah, they've kind of compared it to like an AAU kind of game. But like I played AAU growing up as a kid. Like it's not the same feel. Like you don't really have like a bunch of fans packed into a gym and it's just going wild. Like you don't have that. You have fans on like these electronic boards and they don't look like they're very into it, honestly. And like half the time you don't even see they're there. And then you got just kind of like interesting dynamics where like with coronavirus, you have like the players socially distance like on the bench. And it's kind of just like a weird dynamic. Like you're not next to your teammates like packed together. You're not like talking about the game, getting pumped together. You're separate. It kind of kills the energy. And I think that's one thing I noticed tonight. It's just like the energy level from the teams and the coaches and stuff. It was just kind of weird. It really was.
Yeah. Well, if y'all don't mind, we transition since we are the Texas 3-step. Y'all want to transition over to some Texas teams here?
Yeah, let's do it.
So a couple of questions off the bat. Really, the only ones that are in competition to an extreme amount is the Rockets and the Mavs here. So a couple of questions that I would have. Y'all could elaborate more and go on as much as y'all want. The Rockets and the Mavs, out of which of these two teams do you think has the higher potential here and the higher ceiling going forward throughout the rest of the bubble, the playoffs and everything? And which one do you think by the playoff time will have the higher seeding?
I think the Rockets are going to have the higher seeding come playoff team, but I think the Mavericks have more potential. I think the Mavericks are a deeper team, and I just hate the style that the Rockets play because James Harden is such an inefficient player, and to a degree, Russell Westbrook too. But I think the Mavericks have more potential because of the way Porzingis is playing. Like, I think since February he's been averaging 25 a game. He's been balling ever since Luka got hurt, I think, in January.
Yeah, what I would say is I think the Rockets probably have the edge. I think Mavs have a better all-around team, but I think the Rockets, because of James Harden and Russell Westbrook, I think there will be games where they're just going off and they're kind of carrying the team, and they have that dynamic, and because they're so explosive and because they can just put 50 or 60 on your head. Like that really changes the dynamic of some of these games. I could see Rockets probably going a little bit farther, but honestly, I don't think either team is really going that far. I think whatever the seeding is going to be, I think eventually both teams are probably going to run into the Clippers or the Lakers, and they're going to get buzzsawed.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, I think they're second round outs at best.
Yeah,
I can see that. From my standpoint, I would say that probably the Mavs are better as well. Overall team wise, especially on offense side of the ball. I mean, the Mavs offensive rating was 115.8, which is the best in the league. I mean, but the problem the Mavs have is they are really bad in the crunch time.
Yeah. That's going to be what separates the Mavs and Rockets, I think, in this little stretch, because it's the 22 best teams in the NBA. And so you have those guys. So all the games are probably going to come down to the last seconds, like we saw today, except maybe when you're playing the Suns or a team from the East. So they're going to have trouble closing teams out like they've had all season.
So how do you think they fix that, and what do you think is the problem? Is it something to do with Luka? Is it Kate? What do you think it is?
It definitely has to do with Luka.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, I don't really know what I think it's the way Rick Carlisle is coaching or his rotations. Because in the fourth quarter, early on in the season, he would take Luka out and have him sit the first 4 to 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, and during that time, the Mavs would just get pummeled, and Luka would be going off at the end of the third quarter, and he'd be on the bench to start the fourth, and the Mavs they'd get obliterated to start it, and then Luka would come out on the court and be cold again. So I think some of it has to do with Carlisle, and then a lot of it has to do with the team being inexperienced, because you only have 3 guys on there with any sort of playoff experience. Right. JJ Barea, I think, has the most playoff experience on the team, a.k.a. LeBron's clamps.
I was about to say that.
Of course. Cody, I have a question for you. Do you think part of it, too, is because of just kind of how the team operates? They spread the ball around a lot. It doesn't seem like they have that guy who's going to ISO score, right?
I think Luka's the guy that can ISO score to a degree.
But he's really pass first in a way.
Yeah, but teams start to double team him, especially if Porzingis isn't on.
Mm-hmm.
They're needing one more guy that can shoot. I'd love it if they could get a JJ Redick in there, because it'd be on if that happened.
I mean, yeah. Can JJ Redick just change teams once the Pelicans are out? Wouldn't that be an interesting dynamic?
All right, pull up and shoot like JJ Redick.
Yeah.
I'm curious if James Harden will go to the club once the Rockets fall down like 3-1 in a series, and
he's going to show up in Magic City.
If they fall down 3-1, he goes to a club and then passes the virus to LeBron. What would happen if LeBron got the virus going into Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals against the Clippers?
Well, ESPN is just going to have like a brain aneurysm. Like they're just going to fall apart. I feel like LeBron would still, I don't know, they got to put him in a hazmat suit or something. He's going to find a way to play.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say before this? Yeah, it's interesting. We kind of talked about this with Damian Lillard, and we brought up with the Rockets. What happens when teams start getting down in the series? Do they just start like getting lax with the rules? Do they stop caring? Like when they know it's over, do they just like basically bow out already?
That's a good question. I think a lot of these guys start playing for their contracts, so they start playing more for themselves than the team once they know it's over. Because they know if they go out and have a great last game or two of the series, then it could potentially earn them a couple million more than
that's a fair
what they're expecting.
Yeah, that's a good point, honestly. But it's kind of weird. It's just like, what happens we get through like 7 of these 8 games and like you're the Pelicans or one of these teams. It's like, you're not going to make it. It's just.
I mean, if you're in 7 of 8 already, you might as well just play the 8th. I mean, it's not going to be really any difference.
Well, if I were the Pelicans and we're eliminated after 7 games, I'm benching Zion. I'm not risking him getting hurt because of the injury issues he's already had and all that. And they're still cautious with him, as you saw tonight with him only playing 15 minutes.
Yeah, that refrigerator of a man.
I wouldn't risk messing up that investment. I'd probably limit Brandon Ingram too. And then I just let Lonzo take every shot.
Yeah, and I think you kind of let the young guys get some opportunities. You bring in Jackson Hayes a little bit more.
Yeah.
Let him dunk on some guys.
Give Kenrich Williams some opportunities too.
I thought you were about to say Kendrick Perkins. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Well,
you didn't hear he's coming out of retirement?
Screens. Come on now.
Yeah, they needed 2 Zions on the team.
2 Zions. Shoot, suit up Chuck again. They'll have 3 Zions.
So let's transition a little bit to touch on a couple more things, if y'all don't mind. Let's go to what y'all think about maybe some MVP picks or some bold predictions y'all have for the bubble. Just off the top of y'all's head. Nothing too in-depth or anything like that. We'll go into more predictions later on, next episode and stuff, but just off the top of your head.
I have one bold prediction. I think the Toronto Raptors are really going to challenge the Bucks when those 2 teams meet.
Okay.
I could see it going 6 or 7 games. I think everyone's kind of like, everyone thinks the Bucks got locked up in the East, but Toronto is, minus Kawhi from last year, they're still really, really good. They really are. I think, the Bucks could really have some problems in the East in some of the series they have. I think they could come into the finals kind of beat up when they face the Lakers or the Clippers.
Yeah, I don't think the Bucks are that. I don't think they're as formidable as their record says. Because in a 7-game series, you're gonna figure out how to stop these guys and stuff. Giannis will probably have at least one off game, and Chris Middleton, he's not that great.
Retweet.
He's he in the West, he's not an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna figure there's if the Bucks make it to the finals, they're probably gonna play 6 games in all but maybe the first round, and then they'll probably lose I could see them losing in 5 to the Lakers because they don't really match up well against any teams for a playoff series because they don't really have any perimeter scoring.
Yeah, it really comes down to just like how good is Giannis going to be. Like, he's really putting that team on the back. Like, they have a great team, don't get me wrong, but like Giannis is clearly like the guy that's the matchup problems for these teams. Like, the rest of the team is manageable.
Yeah. Well, you want to know what my bold prediction is?
Go ahead.
That LeBron's hairline falls back to the Miami Heat days.
Ooh.
So does that mean he's going to get a title?
Oh, God. Hope not, but maybe so.
Now, Clamps Berea is going to go to whatever team's playing him and lock him down.
Yeah.
How old is Clamps at this point? Like 45, 50?
I think he's 30, 37.
Golly.
Yeah.
Hey, he's a hero in his home country.
Yeah, for real.
Seriously.
My bold prediction is that Dirk's going to come out of retirement and average 40 a game. And
Dog, he couldn't play more than 10 minutes.
He waddles down the court like a baby giraffe.
Who's got more of a waddle, him or Zion?
Oh, geez. That's a tough one.
Well, one is twice the age of the other.
That's true. I random question, or not really a random question, but looking at the East, looking at some of these other teams, like, what do you guys think of Ben Simmons and their squad? What do you think of some of the other teams?
I watched the Mavericks completely destroy the 76ers with a zone defense. So I really don't see any team in the East really, except maybe the Bucks having a chance against the West.
The Heat are a little interesting.
Yeah, but the Heat are just a weird team that I don't think are going to do much.
Yeah, that's kind of why I said the Bucks. I think they're going to be kind of beat up going in. Like, going against the Heat or the 76ers or the Raptors, those are all very distinct, different teams. Like, they're going to be challenged for sure. And then they're going to have to change the next week against a completely different style team. They're definitely going to get worn down, like I said, when they get to the finals.
Yeah. My bold prediction is that Ben Simmons is going to set the world on fire and shoot threes like he's Steph Curry and lead the 76ers to the championship.
And I doubt that.
Where's the button that says highly doubt?
I would be smacking the crap out of that.
Yeah.
We should, I think we have a plan for eventually like doing contests and like putting down bets and stuff. I think we should put a bet down of how many threes he'll make.
We're gonna do Wheel of Torture eventually. As soon as we get a couple episodes in, Wheel of Torture. Everybody who's listening,
that's gonna be a lot of fun. Get ready for that, guys.
Yeah, we're gonna put down a Twitter thread, and y'all are gonna put down some punishments that we should do, and we're gonna make a bet each week. One of us is gonna challenge another person. We're gonna make a bet, and the loser has to spin the wheel, and do whatever it is on there. So be ready for that one. But
yeah, getting back to this, let's just talk about that Lakers Clippers dynamic. Which team do you guys think is most likely to win the title at this point?
I got Clippers.
You got the Clippers, Cody?
I think the Clippers, but barely. I think it depends on if there's a significant injury or anything, which the Lakers have had with Rondo and Bradley sitting out. I think it kind of tilts towards the Clippers, but barely. The Clippers lost by 2 tonight, and that was without their dynamic duo off the bench and Harrell and
Magic City
Lou. Yeah, Lou Williams. So.
Lou was gone, had to get some wings. Yeah. So we ran the polls on Twitter and Instagram. I think they're split. I think Clippers won on Twitter. I think Lakers won on Instagram. So I think a lot of people think it's very close. Personally, I lean to the Lakers because obviously I'm a little bit more of a fan of the Lakers. I think if Rondo can get back, I think they just have enough to kind of get past the Clippers. I think they have some matchup problems. I think Anthony Davis is obviously the main one. I think size-wise, they're just a little bit too much for the Clippers. But I could definitely see Kawhi shutting down LeBron. I could see Paul George going off and them basically winning in 7. I see that happening too. It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting series.
Well, to kind of get a little bit close out on here on NBA, I have one more thing I'd like to touch on without getting like overly political or anything like that. What do y'all think about that news that came out about China, the China camp today?
Yeah, that was a huge bombshell, really. And it kind of got swept under the rug. I didn't see them talk about it on ESPN or anything like that. You know, if the listeners don't know what's going on, basically, it seems like they think that the NBA was running like basketball recruitment camps, but like in a sense they're using like Uyghur, basically slaves is what's going on over there, and they're basically using slave labor. That's what the investigation has kind of found. We still haven't heard too much about that. It's probably definitely going to be a developing story, but it is not. It is really a bad thing to hear if it's true. Like it just fuels kind of the people who are saying like LeBron is late China and the NBA kind of bows to China and all these different things.
Right.
Yeah, it's a bad look for the NBA. If they need to, instead of them and the ESPN kind of hiding this, they need to address this right away. Like they really do. We need to know what's going on. They need to be transparent with us.
Well, I do give props to ESPN for actually coming out and being the one that reported that, surprisingly, of all things, because ESPN likes to coddle the NBA as much as they possibly can. But they were actually the ones that came out first and said something about that. So that was pretty surprising.
Yeah, it was just kind of interesting. It's like they wouldn't talk about it on ESPN, and like if you go to ESPN.com, you didn't see the article popping up. It was on the front page, which it should be.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, again, I feel like it's a developing story. We're going to hear more and more. Like it's definitely not going to just die today.
Yeah, we'll touch back more on it next week when we have more info on it. I just wanted to kind of get that out there and just see what your thoughts on it were at first, because that was a pretty big bombshell of a news story.
It really was. We have one last sport to cover. Enjoy my preview of this week's UFC Vegas number 5. The UFC is back in Vegas after being on Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. You know, Fight Island is taking a little siesta. You know, this fight this week was supposed to be Holly Holm against Irene Aldana, but Aldana tested positive for COVID. So we actually have a new main event, and it should be a pretty exciting one. We have Derek Brunson against Edmund Shabazan, and Shabazan is really the next big thing in the UFC. If you follow the UFC closely, you've been watching this kid from the Contender Series up until his last couple of fights for the UFC, and he's just been phenomenal, securing a few wins within the first couple minutes of the fights from submission or knockout. He's really been impressive, and this fight against Derek Brunson is really going to be like the biggest test he's ever faced. Derek Brunson's looked at as like the gatekeeper for like the top half of this division. If Edmund Shabazan can get past him, now we can start kind of talking about, okay, when is he going to get that title chance? So looking at kind of the breakdown, Shabazan comes in with a record of 11-0. 9-11 are stoppages. The last fight, he beat Brad Tavares in a really impressive win in the first round KO. If you look at Brunson, he comes in with a 20-7 record. 2-win fight streak against Ian Heinisch and Elias Theodorou. Kind of the thing we know about Brunson is that he really just keeps falling short to elite fighters in the division. You know, he's lost to Israel Adesanya, the champ. He's lost to Anderson Silva, obviously one of the best of all time. And he's also lost to Yoel Romero, among many, actually, elites that he's lost to. He's been one of those fighters he's a great fighter, but he just keeps kind of falling short in those huge fights. And he's still yet to have a championship bout. If we could kind of look at the breakdown, just like comparing the two, you know, Brunson has been fighting for longer. He's the older fighter. He's 36 compared to the 22-year-old Shaba.
And then also you got the reach advantage for Brunson. So kind of what you're going to expect is, Brunson is more experienced. He's fought in these longer fights. Shaba's been fighting these a lot shorter fights. And if this fight goes longer, and it's only going to be a 3-round fight, if it goes longer, especially towards the third round, it's going to start to go in the favor of Brunson. So you kind of expect that Shaba's going to be on Brunson early. And I think my prediction for this fight is I think Shaba and Brunson are going to be banging it out for the first round. And then I think it's going to get to the second, which is new for Shaba. And I think Shaba is going to KO Brunson, which would be huge. It's a shame we don't have fans in these fights because I think the crowd would go wild because that'd be a huge win for him. So I expect, Shaba to beat Brunson in the second round KO. We're looking at the other fights. The co-main event, you have Joanna Calderwood against Jennifer Maia. Calderwood comes in as the favorite. It's a little bit surprised that she took this fight. She was expected to take on Valentina Shevchenko, but Valentina had an injury, and she was kind of expected to kind of hold out for that championship fight, but she decided she wanted to take on one more. This is really a risk. She's got all to lose, not much to gain in this fight, except I guess more experience and another win, of course. Calderwood comes in with a record of 14-4. She won her last fight against Andrea Lee. And really, she's phenomenal at every part of her game. Her game on the feet, on the ground, in the clinch, all of that. She's very impressive. And then when it comes to Maia, who comes in with the 17-6-1 record, she recently came off a loss to Caitlin Kukagan, and she's also missed weight in the last two fights, so that might be a factor in all this. But she's a very solid fighter, but I think Calderwood is just a little bit better in every facet, and she should win in this fight. But I expect the fight to go to the finish, and I expect Calderwood to have a unanimous decision against Joanna. And then the next big fight, which should be the fight of the night, we got Vince Luque against Randy Brown. Vince Luque is the slight favorite. He comes in at a 188 favorite. Randy Brown is a 158 favorite as a FanDuel. Really, these dudes are just going to be throwing haymakers and going to be banging. Both of them really are great strikers. I think what comes down to it, Vince is just a little bit better. He's a little bit stronger. I expect them to really be banging out in the first round. And then the thing that kind of makes Luque a little bit better than Randy is he has just an excellent submission game. Like he's a great jiu-jitsu fighter. They should be banging it out, and I think Luque will try to take Randy to the ground, and he should be able to submit. I expect the first round submission, or it might go into the second, but more than likely the first. I think this should be quick, although it's going to be very exciting in one round. And then other fights, we have Bobby Green against Lando Venata. I got Green winning by split decision. And then Kevin Holland against Trevin Giles. I got Holland winning by split decisions. Really, it should be a very fun night, but I think everyone's kind of looking forward to that Cormier and Stipe Miocic round 3 fight. That's going to be Cormier's last fight. So this might be a little bit of an afterthought, like people will be looking past this, but it's still going to be another great night. And it's just going to be another night to see, if this Shabazan kid is the real deal and if he's the next, big face of the UFC. I hope so, honestly. We got a lot of big names that are kind of sitting out as of late. Conor McGregor has retired once again. John Jones is retiring. And to be honest, those guys have been in the game for a while, for a long time. But we need some of these fresh faces, this new kind of wave of people. I think Shabazan is it. We have a Sugar Show, of course. We have a lot of guys I think in this fight, or a lot of fighters in this fight, they're going to impress, and maybe on this stage they can gain some more fans. But I think coming out of this is really just going to be kind of all on Shabazan. Is really going to grow his fame. It really sucks. I think Brunson is a great fighter, but this is just going to be another loss for him, unfortunately. Really, that's it for this week's fight. UFC Vegas 5 in Las Vegas, Saturday night. Derek Brunson against Edmund Shabazan, and the other main event is Joanna Calderwood against Jennifer Maia.
Yeah, to close everything out, we'll go ahead and give you a little rundown of what we're talking about next week, what we're talking about doing. Obviously, we're going to go over our picks and predictions for MVP, all awards, champions, whatever, all that. For NBA, we're going to give you more coverage on the NFL and a lot more on the NCAA. I know we didn't really get a chance to touch on that today, but we're going to do a lot more on that and on the updated conferences and schedules, and since we'll have more information on that. Cody, Tyler, y'all want to add some stuff in?
Yeah, we're going to be also talking a lot about fights. We're going to talk about the fight this week, of course. I'm going to add that in there, but we're going to be talking about the Cormier-Stipe Miocic fight number 3. Should be a massive fight. We also need to talk about the Mike Tyson out of retirement fight. We'll definitely get into that. Which
Mike,
he's back.
Little notes to the fans. We might have our first guest on to talk about that, which I think will be very exciting for sure. Cody, you got anything?
No, nothing I can think of. We'll tweet more ideas that come up too, and
follow us on
polls and stuff.
Follow us on at Texas 3-Step for both for Twitter and Instagram. Engage with us on the polls and questions. Definitely feel free to DM us any topic ideas you want to hear. I know we got some this week, and some of them we didn't cover because obviously there's a lot to talk about. But
yeah,
just be on the lookout for everything for sure. Just keep engaging with us.
Yeah, our episodes probably might be a little bit shorter from here on out in the future. This week was so jam packed with news and updates and after update after update, and so this was a crazy week, and so we needed to get this episode out. But
the last thing also we want to put out there. Already, this is our first podcast. This is our first episode, but we already have some great engagement. You know, we've already had Texas Sports Life reach out to us, and they want to start working with us. It sounds like they're going to sponsor us, so we really think like this is going to be a very big deal, and it's going to, just hop on the train, and before you know it, there's going to be thousands of people listening to this, and this is going to be, bigger than Barstool Sports, bigger than the Pat McAfee show, hopefully bigger than ESPN First Take and all those sports shows. We think it's going to be huge. Just be ready and just keep engaging with us, keep following us,
Yeah, soon we'll have Pat McAfee requesting to come on to our show. Unfortunately, we don't have a story about Troy Polamalu like he does.
Polamalu, bro.
Polamalu. And we're not going to – hopefully he doesn't blow up on us like that one guy for his show. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
So.
But no, we're going to push hard to make this a really good show for everybody, and we hope to do well for you guys.
Yeah, let us know if y'all have any comments,
critiques, anything.
What y'all liked. Yeah, critiques, things you didn't like. If we need to make the show shorter, if y'all want us to make it longer, if y'all want us to make it a 24-hour show. Tyler doesn't do anything all day. He can just stream for a day.
Sir, I have to lift weights at least once. Come on now.
Oh,
gotta get those gains.
So Tyler will pause for an hour while he consumes protein, gets groceries, and lifts weights. So Quentin and I can take over for that hour.
Yeah, y'all can talk about baseball then, but
yeah, you'll just listen to us talk about baseball and Dak, maybe a little Luca.
I think we're gonna just wrap this up finally. Hell of a way to end this, but
Yeah, we just wanted to filibuster it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand here and read Cat in the Hat.
I'm gonna get on some roller skates, like Leslie Nope, and start talking. But yeah, that
I was gonna go Patton Oswalt in Parks and Rec, and that's how the Star Wars universe and the Marvel universe come together.
All right,
well,
guys.
Yeah, that is it for our show. Be on the lookout for episode 2 coming next week. Bye, y'all.